I'm so excited to be here to talk about Facebook ads with Ray Baumeister. Welcome on my show.
Thank you, Sigrun. Nice to be here and talk to you.
It's interesting how we got to know each other, though. One day, I get an email from my business coach at the time, James Wetmore. I was in his inner circle mastermind, and he sent me an email one day saying, "Hey, I know someone who is in Europe. You should get together." And he connected us because you were in his group coaching program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is probably 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I guess 3 years ago. So time goes by fast. Yeah.
Time goes by fast, and finally, we find ourselves 3 years later, doing these podcast interviews. I was on your podcast. Now you're on my podcast. But it's fascinating to me how you get to know people and how you can actually stay in touch and keep conversations going, even if they don't talk for a while. So I'm happy that you are finally here to talk about Facebook ads.
Wow. Thank you, Sigrun.
So first, I would like to know, how did you get into Facebook ads? Why are you doing this?
So I try to keep it short and sweet because I could talk for hours about that. So I'm in the online business now for, I guess, over 20 years. And so I guess I tested everything that's possible to test. And I was starting out with Amazon and later was at other companies like a publishing house, publishing brand like Cosmopolitan. Actually, the publisher, Jörg Marquardt, is a Swiss guy, so I guess you know him. But anyway, so I was running, online marketing for those companies. And I was also experimenting with Facebook ads and Google ads and SEO and, whatever. And so I saw the pros and cons. But I also experienced, like on my personal journey, that I wanted to have my own business. So I built up business units for those companies, which was fun, but I wanted to build up my own business. And, I saw an opportunity to show like entrepreneurs, smaller companies, what the big guys do.
What Amazon does and Cosmopolitan, what they actually do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like running, advertising, and compared to like a publishing house where you have to spend like whatever, 20K just for one print ad, you can start with small amounts of money. And that's, that's how I got, started with Facebook ads and also started with coaching Facebook ads.
So how long ago is that now?
5 years, I guess, roughly. Yeah.
And so in the beginning, were you doing ads for people, or were you always, from the get-go, teaching them how to do it themselves?
So the first years I was doing running ads for companies. Yeah. So trying to understand the system, the algorithm. I still try to figure that out 5 years later. Yeah.
Aren't we all doing that? They change from day to day. So even as an expert, you are always learning. So first you were running ads for entrepreneurs exactly. 5 years ago when you started your business. And then at some point you made a shift. So now you don't run ads anymore. You just teach people how to do it themselves.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, there are some exceptions where I have customers that have really big budgets, but like 99% of my customers, they are coaches. Yeah.
And how long would you say that someone should be doing this themselves? Because, I get this question a lot from my clients. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to learn Facebook ads. I'll just hire someone." And I'm like, wait a moment. Maybe you should learn a little bit because it costs quite a chunk of money to hire someone who's good. And the problem is, if you don't know anything about Facebook ads, you might hire someone who doesn't know anything, even less.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a lot of, many of my customers, they have some experience, having an agency that didn't deliver on their promises or, whatever. So, so first of all, I'm a big fan of outsourcing. So in general, I like the idea to outsource, stuff that I don't know myself or don't want to do myself. But when it comes to, acquiring new customers, I think, that's a part where I would be very careful what I outsource and to whom, because I'm dependent on that person or on that company, on my revenue stream.
Yeah.
So when is, what's the right strategy? That's a hard question. But I would say if you start out, you definitely should learn it yourself so that you can choose a partner. And then, how do you find a good partner? Then it gets very tricky because a good partner just works with clients that spends a certain amount of ad budget. So I guess you should spend a couple of €1,000 per month so that a good an agency chooses to work with you.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
problem,
the opposite. It's the opposite way with Facebook ads. I've noticed. Like normally you can just go out and hire anybody for anything, but
Yeah.
Facebook ads agencies are choosy who they
Yeah.
work with.
Yeah, at least the good ones. Yeah. So if they're not choosy, you know that you're probably talking to not a good one. Yeah.
Aha. Okay, this is a warning for our listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the point is, I mean, if you spend a couple of €1,000 a month and you found an agency, then at some point, probably, I guess you think about, so I'm spending whatever, like 3K on ads per month. I spend another 2K for that person in that agency, so it's like 5K. Shouldn't I now do it in-house? So the time span where you outsource, in my point of view, is a very limited one. Yeah. So if you ask me, I mean, obviously I'm biased. Yeah. I would start out to learn it myself, and then build up somebody in my team and hand it over. That would be my strategy.
Yeah. So you would eventually try to take this in-house, but that would be someone else. It would not be the entrepreneur themselves.
Yeah, it can be just a media buyer in the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now you've been doing this for 5 years. You have different types of programs, I guess, depending on how far people are. There is something that people can start with, and ultimately you coach people on how to build complete funnels as well.
Yeah, actually, I changed my business quite a bit. So I just so currently, or already for like almost 2 years now, I just have one product. Yeah, so I like to keep it simple.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, so just one product, just one funnel, and one perfect customer, if you want to call it that way. Yeah.
So who is your ideal client for that one program?
So usually they are like coaches, experts, trainers, or agencies, and they already are at a certain level. So usually they already tried to run Facebook ads on their own. They already tried.
Didn't work out so well, right?
Exactly. So they're burnt somehow, and they also sometimes they have already worked with agencies, so they have an understanding how it works, like roughly. And they also understand that if you want to scale a business, like really scale a business, you need to spend money on ads. So you can't spend €5 and expect like 100K launch. That doesn't work. So they have a very good understanding on, you have to spend money, and then you get money. I mean, more money. And that's my perfect customer, because I don't have to start from zero. There's some knowledge. There's also what is important for me, a product that works. So I mean, you can have the greatest marketing if your product sucks. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into one way of what you would recommend someone to do. We want to talk about how to make 100,000 plus a month without launching, but obviously using Facebook ads. So I'm assuming the first thing you need to have, I hope I guess it right, you need to have a product that
Exactly.
you've sold before.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have a product that you sold before, that you're proud of, that you believe in. That's a prerequisite, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there I guess there are many ways to get to 100K a month. So one way is a live launching, for example, with the help of Facebook ads. And I did that in the past, but I switched like 2 years ago. I switched to a different model, which just fits my personal preference more, because I found launching quite stressful and I found it quite complicated. And usually every time I did a launch, something breaks, So I was trying to find a way that's less stressful, and also coming from a Facebook ads perspective, find a way that I'm able to spend money on ads like the whole year. So I found it frustrating that, as when doing a launch, I have like a two-week window where I spend like maximum amount of ads, then my ad gets shut down or whatever, and then the last 2 days, the ads like runs perfectly smooth. I get leads for like nothing, and then the launch is over, and it's so frustrating,
It is.
Yeah. So what I did now, so I fast forward. I did it I put it on evergreen. So currently, what I'm doing is I'm running Facebook ads like the whole year, 24/7, and I'm advertising an evergreen webinar that I recorded. And at the end of the webinar, I pitch like a strategy session or like a free call.
Yeah.
And in that call, I just sell my offering, my product. The nice thing about that way of that process is that, as I said, I can run ads like all the time. And what I personally, because I'm very analytical and introvert and like to sit in like my basement,
Yeah, I like to be in your cave.
Yeah, exactly. So so I can look, at the numbers like on a weekly basis and tweak it and optimize it and, change like 5 minutes of my webinar and make it even better. And that's a really cool and it's not relaxing, but it's not so stressful way to really build up your business. And many of my customers, they build it up to like 100K, optimizing, and tweaking the little things and optimizing the funnel. And yeah, that's the current funnel that I use and recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found it interesting. So basically you are selling a group coaching program, if I understand correctly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the
exactly.
one program you're selling. And you're running a webinar. Obviously you have some teaser, like there's something that people want to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the webinar, right? They want to avoid making mistakes. They don't want to burn more, burn more bridges or have more, failures around Facebook ads. And then you teach them some other ways, but then you invite them to a strategy session. So you have someone on your team maybe doing that. And then they join your group coaching program. So it's a simple funnel.
Exactly. And as I said earlier, in a different context, I like to keep it simple. Yeah. Because usually when it gets more complex, it breaks. And it's really hard to scale a complex process. So the simpler the process, the easier to scale it. Yeah.
When you have a cold audience, there are often these suggestions that you should warm them up before, that you should maybe have some visibility ads. Maybe there's an article about Ray, or he was on a podcast, and I'm starting to think highly of you before I suddenly see an ad invitation to that webinar or some video views. Like, you skip all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I tested all of that because, it seems like common sense of what the gurus tell you. So I did everything, I did, how do you call it? Like runway launch ads. So like video ads, like months before my launch, I did that. I advertised freebies, get my free PDF, give me your email address, and then I nurture you for like whatever, 6 months. And what I found is, in theory, that sounds like obvious to do that.
Yeah, it sounds totally logical. And when someone says it, you're like, oh yeah, of course I have to do that. But you tried it out. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I spent a lot of money on that. And it works to some extent. So it works somehow. But what I found, if you look at the numbers, that I mean, for example, people they opt in for your free PDF or free whatever, and then whatever 30% don't even open the email.
Yeah.
And then another 20% don't click the link. And then another 20% don't watch the damn thing. So, and the more steps you build in that funnel, the less people make it to the end.
Yeah.
And so what I found is I spend a lot of money on that opt-in funnel, but it's less efficient in terms of ad budget if I just go straight to the webinar and invite them to a strategy session and sell them as stuff. So it's simpler and more efficient. Yeah.
So you're constantly then running ads to a cold audience, people who have never heard of you, but you are then answering a pain point they have, which makes them want to sign up. But there must be a huge drop-off also for cold people. Like they sign up for the webinar, don't show up, or show up and don't book a strategy session. How do you redeem that? Like, do you try to catch them on later?
I mean, obviously, there are also drop-offs in that process. You're right. Not everybody watches the webinar, not till the end. Not everybody books a call and stuff like that. But still, there's less steps, Before I had 15 steps where the drop-off is, and now I have 4 steps. So the numbers just are more attractive doing it that way.
Yeah, and I like you said, simple.
Yeah.
But what do you do to the people who do not show up to the webinar or don't book a strategy call? Do you somehow try to get them back?
Yeah. I mean, I do have some contingency plans. Yeah. So on the one side, I mean, I have their email address. So I do an email campaign. You didn't show up, or you just watched the 10 minutes. Why don't you get opt in again and watch it till the end? So I'm sending out some emails if they didn't show up or if I didn't watch it the whole thing. I also send out emails to people that watched the whole thing but didn't book a call. So I did different email campaigns. Yeah.
Yeah. How many are there? 3 paths, 4 paths?
So I have one campaign for people that showed up. Watch to the end, one campaign for people that showed up but didn't watch to the end, and one campaign, or it's one big campaign, but anyway, and a couple of emails that didn't book a call. So I send them emails with testimonials and another invitation to book a call.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that's pretty standard, pretty basic.
Yeah.
But the nice thing again here is I set it up one time, and it just works the whole year. And I can, tweak it. And if one email has a lower open rate, I just change it and look if I find something better. And on the Facebook ad side, I also have 2 more. I mean, I have a campaign for cold traffic, and I have 2 more campaigns. One for warm traffic, the people that somehow reacted but didn't didn't opt in to the webinar, and one for the hot traffic, people that watched the webinar have been on the page for booking a call but didn't book a call. Yes. So 3 campaigns in total.
Yeah.
So it's still simple. Yeah.
It's still simple. And do you feel is it most people that still go straight to the booking a call? Is that the majority versus those who come later? How much are you able to grab afterwards?
Yeah. So I don't know, 90% directly book a call. So the rest, the whole retargeting thing is a nice to have.
Yeah.
90% is nailing a great webinar, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
So did you do the webinar live first to nail a good webinar? How do you know if it's a good webinar? What should people expect? There's all kinds of numbers. Should you have 3% book a strategy call or 50%? What's the range?
Yeah. So to answer your question, I did many live webinars before, so I have a feeling, for what works, what doesn't work. And then at some point I recorded it, And the nice thing is, if you keep it running for like, especially if it's not live, you in your back end of your webinar system, you see like a curve, how many people drop off after 10 minutes, after 20 minutes, after 30 minutes. And if at some point you see like a drop off that's unusually high, you know that at exactly like minute 12, you have a problem. And that's cool to know, because then you switch it out and keep it running for another 4 weeks and see if it's better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what should people expect? If someone is just like listening to this interview and then like, oh, I want to do this, and they go and record the webinar, what is a good number in terms of conversions?
I would, so when you start out, I would shoot for like 10%. Like 10% of attendees book a call. But if you like optimize and improve it, it could go up to 20% that book a call.
Yeah. And that means they are watching. So it's not just those who signed up for a webinar, but those who are actually watching.
Exactly, because you pitch the call in the last whatever, like 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So they need to get to that point. Yeah. And that way you also make sure that you have people on the phone that know what that know what they're doing.
Yeah, they are prepared. They have watched the webinar, so they know what they're talking about. So you basically calculate the people who are still with you at the end of the webinar, and from that percentage, anywhere between 10 and 20% is a good number.
No, actually from all attendees. So if
all attendees,
if 100 people attend the webinar and see the first minute, like 10 people should book a call.
Yeah. So it's similar to a launch. Like we calculate all the people that sign up for a launch webinar, actually whether they show up or not. Like we just, that's how we calculate our launch list. So this is similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you say to someone who said, okay, do I need to have something like a group coaching program and discovery call? Couldn't I just sell my course that costs, I don't know, $297, $497, $997?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that funnel to just anybody with any offering, because I mean, doing those calls obviously costs time, either your time or the time of your sales agent. And I wouldn't do calls if you have an offering that whatever a couple of €100. It just doesn't make sense time wise. Yeah. If you sell a course for whatever $297, I would lead them directly to a sales page and self-service checkout.
Yeah.
But as soon as you have like a product with a certain price point, especially group coaching, it definitely makes sense. And especially also if you like want to work, I mean, if you're selling courses, probably you don't have a lot of interaction with your customer. It doesn't really matter for you who buys your product. But as soon as you're selling one-on-one services or group coaching, where you spend a lot of time with the people, and where it's also, we have to be careful who's in the group coaching, that don't spoil the, the spirit, then you want to look very carefully who you actually invite in your product or in your program. And so if you're selling group coaching or any kind of, heavy interactive offerings, definitely you should, put a call in between to make sure that you get the right customers. Yeah.
Absolutely. But if you look at the cost of Facebook as you say, I'm not even talking about hiring an agency, but let's say you need to spend a decent amount of money on ads, and maybe you're doing coaching with someone like yourself. So that's an investment too, even if you're not working with an agency. Selling something for $297 after Evergreen, does it pay off?
Exactly. I wouldn't. I mean, I would say selling something for $297, whatever way,
doesn't pay off.
It's not a great business. I mean, there are exceptions. Don't get me wrong. I have one customer. She's selling a course for about €200, and in the consumer space, and she recently made $100K in a month. But I mean, there are always exceptions, obviously.
Yeah.
So I would say, of course, you can try to do that, you can pull that off, but it's way easier to increase your price
Uh-huh.
and make the same amount of revenue, with the higher ticket items or
Yeah.
offerings. Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone has a course for 297, they either should maybe change it, make it longer, more valuable, and because the risk with this price of a course, as you say, there are people that do it, but they are maybe in a consumer space, and maybe the lead cost $1 or $2 versus you have to pay 10 or 20 for some
Yeah.
other leads in other business, especially in business coaching. It's quite expensive.
Yeah. 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 I agree.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
you are, people are entering your group coaching program all year long. Doesn't matter when they join. But what if, people want to combine this method with launching? Is there any way you can see that they could do that?
I mean, so one part in my program is you're heavily focused on Facebook ads because that I did for the last couple of years. So I mean, for how to run Facebook ads, it doesn't really matter if you do a live launch or if you do a challenge or an evergreen launch or whatever, as long as somebody opts in for something. so the whole Facebook ads thing is like 100% the same. So people can. So I also have customers in my program that do launches, so that's fine. The only thing is they are limited to their launch period, because they're running ads for like 1 or 2 months, and then the launch is over. Then they start again like a half a year later. But besides that, Facebook ads is completely the same.
Yeah. I actually love launching, just that I want to defend launches here. But I think it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
Ray, you said yourself, you're an introvert, you like to be in your cave, and I like to be top of the mountain and,
Yeah.
be on stage. And I think it's a very interesting thing that I love launches. But we also have a group coaching program people can join anytime. And we do a monthly information call exactly for this reason. We actually have a live call, but the key is here that we're continuously running ads. We're not running them just in launches, because it's very risky, as you said, to just come and say, oh, I want to spend a lot of money now in 2 weeks. You can't even do that because Facebook will not allow you to. But if you continuously run ads, they start to like you. And so you can come with your launch and also spend more.
Yeah. And the reason for that is that what people don't understand, people, also at least my customers, I guess your customers too, they think Facebook somehow doesn't like them or whatever. Facebook likes our customers. The problem are the bad guys, that try to run ads for stuff that is simply not allowed. And to surprise the algorithm, or to surprise all the security systems at Facebook, they go in with like short period, huge amount of money until the ad account gets shut down, and then new ad account, same game, until it gets shut down. And that's the reason why Facebook is very very alert if suddenly in an ad account the spending goes up. That's normal for a launch, but it looks like fraud to the Facebook algorithm, and that's the reason why it's hard, spend like in short bursts a lot of money.
Yeah. What do you say to the tiny products? It's a trend now to sell something for 27, 37, 47, and basically get a paying customers on your email list, not have any freebie hunters. Obviously, with that strategy, you are not making money on the front end. You're probably losing. Let's say maybe it costs the same to get the lead as you're making money. But what do you say to that strategy, to continuously run to a super low price product, knowing that you possibly have to make money with some other stuff later on?
Yeah, I have a couple of friends or partners in the industry that run that kind of strategy. The same. It's pretty similar actually to a free plus shipping book funnel. Where you send out a free book, You just have to pay shipping, but the shipping is like whatever, €9.
Yes.
So it's not free, but anyway, it looks free. And that funnel can work, profitable, but from my point of view, it just adds complexity. You know, you need to write that book, and the same would be you need to produce that 27 thing or $47 thing. I mean, if you're talking to people that are having like a real problem, you know, and they want to spend like real money on solving that problem, so it's not some gimmick, then offering them something for $27, I'm not sure if I would, you know, get my like dream customer. It's the same in like I walk in like a car store, you know, where I want to look at whatever Aston Martins, and then the guy wants to sell me like a keychain, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I want to buy the car.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one way, but it's not my preferred way. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there are different opinions on it, but yeah, I was interested in your opinion on it. Yeah. So what do you see coming for Facebook ads? You know, it's been tricky this year with pandemic, elections, all these things. What is the one thing people should be, let's say, stay wary of? One thing is to not stop running Facebook ads. Is there anything else?
Yeah. I mean, Facebook is continuously evolving. So they can't run ads like 2 years ago, whatever. It just doesn't work. So one thing that they should be aware of is to be, you know, just be compliant. Don't do anything that Facebook doesn't like. But it's actually pretty easy to be compliant if you think from a customer perspective. So or from a Facebook user perspective. So don't be too salesy, don't be too pushy, don't be annoying. If you're a nice guy in your Facebook ads, Facebook likes you, but also the people like you that see your ads, and that's a pretty safe strategy to, you know, be successful on that platform.
That's great. Thank you, Ray. I thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to connect again after about 3 years of getting that email. Ray, I thank you for sharing, and I'm excited to hear from our listeners who is going to go for the goal of 100,000 a month with Facebook ads without launching. Thank you for joining the show, Ray.
Thank you, Sigrun. It was a pleasure.